Namaskar guys. This video is a continuation of an audiobook called Arthashastra by Kautilya. This is the second video of the series and the title of this video is The Duties of Government Superintendents. In this video, we are going to see the formation in villages, division of land, construction of forts and the duties of businessmen, miners, manufacturers and goldsmith. So this is the most interesting part of this book Arthashastra. So let's start the book. The duties of superintendent. Chapter 1. Formation of villages. Either by inducing foreigners to immigrate or by causing the thickly populated centers of his own kingdom to send forth the excessive population, the king may construct villages either on new sites or the old ruin. Villages consisting each of not less than 100 families and of not more than 500 families of agriculture people of Shudra caste, with boundaries extending as far as Krosa, 2250 yards or 2, and capable of protecting each other shall be formed. Boundaries shall be denoted by river, mountain, forest, bulbous plant, caves, artificial buildings, setubandha, or by trees such as salmali, silk cotton tree, samaf, akai suma, and shiriyavaka, wilki trees. There shall be set of sthaniyas, a forest of that name, in the center of the 800 villages, or dronamukha in the center of 400 villages, a kaptavika in the center of 200 villages, sangrahana in the center of the collection of 10 villages. They shall be constructed in the extremist of the kingdom, fourth manned by the boundary guard and amtapala, whose duty shall be to guard the entrance of the kingdom. The inferior and the interior of the kingdom shall be watched by trap keepers, vagurika, archers, sabara, hunters, pulinda, chandilas, and wild tribes. Those who perform sacrifices, ritvik, spiritual guides, priests, and those learned in Vedas shall be granted Brahmadaya land, yielding sufficient produce and exempted from tax and fines. Superintendents, accounts, gopas, sthanikas, veterinary surgeons, physicians, horse trainers, and messengers shall also be endowed with lands which they shall have no rights to alienate and sell or mortgage. Lands prepared for cultivation shall be given to taxpayers, karda, only for life. Unprepared lands shall not be taken away from those who are preparing them for cultivation. Lands may be confiscated from those who are not cultivated them and given to others, or they may be cultivated by village laborers, graham bhatrika and traders, vidahika, lest those owners who do not properly cultivate them might pay less to the government. If the cultivator pay their taxes easily, they may be favorably supplied the grains, cattle and money. The king shall bestow on cultivators only such favors and remissions on the as well as treasury's well, and shall avoid such as deplete in it. A king with depleted treasury will eat into the very vitality of both citizens and country people. Either on the occasion of opening new settlements or on the emergent of occasion, remnants of taxes shall be made. He shall regard with fatherly kindness those who have passed the period of remnants of taxes. He shall carry on mining operations and manufactures, exploit timber and elephant forest, offer facilities for cattle breeding and commerce, construct roads for traffic both by land and water, and set up market towns, panyapattana. He shall also construct a reservoirs, setu, filled with water either perennial and drawn from other sources, or he may provide with sites, roads, timber and other necessary things those who construct reservoir of their own accord. Likewise the construction of the places of pilgrimage, punyastna, and grow. Whoever stays away from any kind of cooperative construction, Sambhu Setubandhat, shall send his servants and bullock carts to carry on his work, shall have shared the expenditure, but shall have no claim to the profit. The king shall exercise his own right ownership with regard to fishing, fairing and trading in vegetables, haritapanya, in reservoir or lakes, setushu. Those who do not heed the claims of their slaves, dasa, hirelings, ahitaka, and relatives shall be taught their duty. The king shall provide the orphans, Bala, the aged, the affirms, the affiliated, and the helpless with maintenance. He shall also provide subsistence to helpless women when they are carrying, and also to the children they gave birth to. Elders among the villagers shall improve the property of bereaved minors till the latter attain their age, so also the property of gods. When a capable person other than a apostate, pitata, or mother neglects to maintain his or her child, wife, mother, father, minor brother, sister, or widowed girl, kanya vidavascha, he or shall be punished with a fine of 12 panas. When without making provision for the maintenance of his wife and sons, any person embraces asceticism, he shall be punished with the first amusement. Likewise, any person who converts a woman to asceticism, pravajataha. Whoever has passed the age of copulation may become an ascetic after distributing the properties of his own acquisition among his sons, otherwise he will be punished. No ascetic other than a vanasprastha, forest hermit, no company other than one of local birth, and no guilds of any kind than local cooperative guilds shall find entrance into the village of kingdom, nor shall there be in the village buildings salah intended for sports and plays, nor in view of procuring money, free labor, commodities, grains, and liquids in plants, shall actor, dancer, singer, drummer, baffans, and bards, Kusilava, make any disturbance to the work of villagers, for helpless villagers are always dependent and bent upon their fields. The king shall avoid taking possession of any country which is liable to the inroads of enemies and wild tribes, and which is harassed by frequent visitations of famine and pestilence. He shall also keep away from the expensive sports. He shall protect the agriculture from molestation of oppressive fines, free labor, and taxation. Dandavishta Badahya, herds of cattle from thieves, tigers, poisonous creatures, and cattle diseases. He shall not only clear roads of traffic from the molestation of Kautilya, Vallabha, of workmen, Karmika, of robbers and boundary guards, but also keep them from being destroyed by herd of cattle. Thus the king shall not only keep in good repair timber and elephant forest building and mines created in the past, but also set up new ones. Thus, the end of chapter first, formation of villages, and the second chapter starting, division of land. The king shall make provision for pasture grounds of on uncultivated tract. Brahman shall be provided with forest for soma plantation, for religious learning, and for permanence of penance. Such forest being rendered safe from the dangers for the animate and inanimate objects, and being named after the tribal name, Gotra, of the Brahmins resident therein. A forest as extensive as the above, provided with only one entrance, rendered inaccessible by the construction of ditches all around, with plantation of delicious fruit trees, bushes, bower, and horns trees, and with an expansive lake of water full of harmless animal, and with a tiger, beast of prey, and male and female elephants, young elephants and bisons, all deprived to the claws and teeth, shall be formed in the king's sport. On the extreme limit of the country, or in any other subtle locality, another game forest with game beast open to all shall also be made, in view of procuring all kinds of forest produce described everywhere as one or several forests shall be specially reserved. Manufactories are to prepare commodities from forest produce shall also be set up, while tracts shall be separated from the timber forest in the extreme limit of the country, elephant forest separated from the wild tracts, and shall be formed. The superintendents of the forest with his retinue of the forest guard shall not only maintain the upkeep of the forest, but also acquaint himself with all passages for the entrance into or exit from such of them as are mountainous or boggy, or contain rivers or lakes. Whosoever kills an elephant shall be put to the death. Whoever brings in the pair of the tusk of elephants dead from natural causes shall receive a reward of 4.5 panas. Guards of elephant forest, assisted by those who rear elephants, those who enchain the legs of elephant, those who guard the boundaries, and those who lives in forest, as well as by those who nurse elephants, shall, with the help of 5 or 7 female elephants, to help in taking wild ones, trace the whereabouts of the herd of elephants by following the course of urine, dung, and left by elephants, and along forest tracks covered over the with branches of Ballataki, Semicarpus anarchidium, and by observing the spots where elephants slept and sat before and left dungs, or where they just destroyed the planks of rivers or lakes. They shall also precisely ascertain whether any mark is due to the movement of elephant is heard, or any elephant roaming single, or a stray elephant on as a leader of herd, or a tusker, or a rogue elephant, young elephant, or an elephant that has escaped from the cage. Experts in catching elephant shall follow the instruction given by them by the elephant doctor Anikastha, and catch such elephant as are possessed of auspicious characteristic and good character. The victory of kings in battle depends mainly upon elephants. For elephants, being of large bodily frame, are capable to not only destroy the arrayed army of any army, his fortification and encampment, but also to undertake works that are dangerous to life. Elephants bred in countries such as Kalinga, Anga, Kurusa, and the east are the best. Those Dasarana and western countries are the middle quality, and those Saurashtra and Panchajana countries are low quality. The might and energy of all can, however, be improved by suitable training. The end of chapter 2, division of land, and the starting of chapter 3, construction of forts. On all the 4 quarters of the boundaries of the kingdom, a defensive fortification against an enemy in war shall be constructed on grounds best fitted for the purpose. A water fortification, Uduka, such as an island in the midst of the river, or a plain surrounded by low ground. A mountainous fortification, Parvata, such as rocky tract or a crave. Desert, Dhanvan, such as a wild tract devoid of water and overgrown with thicket growing a barren soil, or a fortification, Vanadurga, full of vergatail, khazana, water and thickets. Of these, water and mountain fortification are best suited to defend populous centers, and desert and forest fortification are habituations of wilderness. Or with ready preparation for flight, the king may have his fortitude capital, Sthaniya, as the seat of his sovereignty, Samudhasthanam, in the center of the kingdom, and in a locality natural best fitted for the purpose, such as the bank of the confluence river, a deep pool of a perennial water, or a lake or tank, a fort, circular, rectangular, and a square in form, surrounded with an artificial canal of water and connected with both land and water paths, may be constructed. Found this fort 3 ditches with an intermediate space of 1 danda, 6 feet, from each other, 14, 12, and 10 dandas respectively in the width, with a depth less by 1/4 of the 1/2 of their width, square at their bottom, and 1/3 as the wide of the top, and with sides built in the stones or bricks, filled with the perennial flowing water, or with water drawn from some other sources, and possessing crocodiles and lotus plants, shall be constructed. At a distance of 4 dandas, 24 feet, from the innermost ditch, a rampart 6 dandas high and twice as much broad shall be erected by heaping mud upwards, and by making it square at the bottom, oval at the center, passed by the trampling of elephants and bulls, and planted with thorny and poisonous plants in bushes. Gaps in the rampart shall be filled up with a fresh earth. Above the rampart, parapets in odd and even numbers, and with an intermediate space of from 12 and 24 hastas from each other, shall be built of bricks and raised to a height of twice their breadth. The passage for carriers shall be made of trunks of palm trees, or of broad and thin slabs of stones, with spears like the head of the monkey carved on their surface, but never wood, as fire finds a happy abode in it. Towards square foot throughout, with and movable staircase of ladder equal to its height, and shall also be constructed. In the intermediate space measuring 30 dandas, between two towers there shall be formed a broad street in two compartments covered over the roof and 2.5 times as long as it was broad. Between the tower and broad street, there shall be constructed Indrakosha, which is made for covering pieces of wooden planks and affording seats for 3 archers. There shall also be made a road for goods gods, which shall measure 2 hastas inside the towers, 4 times as much as sides, and 8 hastas long the purport paths charya to ascend the parapet, as broad as danda 6 feet, or two shall also be made. In an inaccessible part of rampart, a passage for the flight and a door to exit shall be made. Outside of a rampart, passages for movement shall be disclosed by forming of obstruction such as knee breaker, janobhajana, a trident mouth of earth, pits, wreath of thorn, instruments made like a trail of snake and palm leaf, triangle of and of a dog's teeth, rods, ditches filled with thorns, covered with sand and frying pans and water pools, having made on both sides and rampart a circular hole of danda and a half of a diameter, an entrance gate to the fourth and the sixth as broad as the width of the street shall be fixed. A square chaturasara is formed by successive addition of one danda up to 8 dandas commencing from 5, or in proportion 1/6 of the length up to 1/8. The rise in level Tolstoyha shall be made by successive addition of 1 hasta up to 10 hastas commencing from 15 hastas. In fixing a pillar, 6 parts of are to form its height on the floor, twice as much as 12 parts to be entered into the ground, and 1/4 for its capital. Of the first floor, 5 parts are to be taken for the formation of the hall, a well and a boundary house, 2/10 of it for the formation of 2 platforms opposite to each other, prati manchuho. An upper story twice as high as its width, carving the images an uppermost terror, half or the 3/4 of the broad as the first floor, side walls built of bricks. On a left side, a staircase circulating from left to right. On right, a sticker staircase hidden in the wall and the top support of ornamental arches. A turret above the gate and starting from top the parapet shall be constructed, its front resembling an alligator up to 3/4 of its height. In the center of the parapet, there shall be constructed a deep lotus pool, a rectangular building of 4 compartments, one within the other, an abode of goddess Kumari, and having its eternal area of a half times as broad as that of an inner room. A circular building with an archway, and in accordance with the available space and material, there shall be constructed canal, kulya, to hold the weapons and 3 times as long as broad. In those canals there should be collected stones, spades, kudala, axes, kathari, varieties of staffs, kudal, hammers, clubs, discus, machines, yantra, and such weapons who can destroy hundreds of peoples, together with spears, trident, bamboo sticks with pointed edges made from iron, camel necks, and explosive agni samagyas, and whatever else can be devised and formed from available material. Lesson 3rd. Construction of forts ended. Starting of chapter 4th. Buildings within the fort. Demarcation of grounds inside the fort shall be made first by opening 3 royal roads from west to east and 3 from south to north. The fort shall contain 12 gates provided with both a land and water way keep secret. Chariot roads, royal roads, and the roads leading to the Drona Mukha, Sthaniya, country parts, and pasture grounds shall have each been 4 dandas 24 feet in width. Roads leading to Sayonia, military station, Vyuhu, burial, cremation ground, and the villages shall be 8 dandas in the width. Road to gardens, groves and forest, road to leading or elephants of forest, roads to chariot, roads to building constructed on strong grounds, roads to teacher, priest and sacrificial place, roads to kitchen, elephant stables and storehouse, road on the eastern side, merchant trading and scans, garland grains, the treasury, the accountant office, and various manufactories shall be situated on the sides south by east. The storehouse of the forest produce and the arsenal shall be constructed on site south by west. To the south, the superintendent of the city of commerce, of manufacturing, of army. To the west by south, stables, the asses, camel, working horse, and to the west of by north, stables and convenience and chariots. To the west, artisan manufacturing worsted, thread, cotton threads, bamboo mats, skins, armors, weapons, and gloves, as well as the people of Sudra caste shall have their dwellings. To the north by west, shops and hospitals. To the north by east, the treasury, the stables of the cows and horses. To the north, the royal turtly deity of the city, ironsmith, artisans, dancers, artists. In the several corner, guilds and corporation of workmen shall reside. In the center of the city, apartment of gods such as Aparajita, Jayanta, Vijayanta, Siva, Vaishnava, Arvina, physician, honorable liquor house, Sri Madiragraha shall be situated. In the corner, the guardian deities of the ground shall be appropriately set up. Likewise, the principal gates such as Brahma, Indra, Yama, Saintra shall be constructed and at a distance of 100 boats, Dhanushas, 108 angulas. From the ditch on the counter scarf side, places of worship like and pilgrimage, groves, and buildings shall be constructed. Guardians deity of all quarters shall also be set in quarters appropriate to them. Violation of this rule shall be punished with the first amazement. His chandalas shall lie beyond the barrier of grounds. There shall be a water well for every 10 houses. Oil, grain, sugar, salt, medicinal articles, dry or fresh vegetables, meadow grass, dried flesh, say stock, firewood, metals, akin, charcoal, tendons, poison, horns, bamboo, fibrous garment, strong timber, weapon, armor, stone shall also be stored. Of such collection, old things shall be replaced by new ones when received. Elephants, cavalry, chariots, and infantry shall be officered with many chief and as much as chief, when many are under the fear of betrayal from each other and scarcely liable to the insinuous and intrigues of an enemy. The same rule shall hold good with an appointment of boundary, guards and repairers of fortification. Never shall Bahirikas who are dangerous to well-being of cities and countries be kept in fort. They may either be thrown in the country parts or compelled to pay taxes. End of chapter 4. Building within the fort. Chapter 5. Duties of Chamberlain. The Chamberlain, Sanidhata, one who ever attends upon the king, shall see the construction of the treasury house, trading house, and the storehouse of grain, the storehouse of produce, forest produce, the armory, and the jail. Having dug up a square well not too deep to the moist with the water, having paved both the bottom and the sides of the slab of stone, he shall, by using strong timber, construct an that well caged like underground chamber of three stories high, the topmost being on a level with the surface of the ground, with many compartments of various design, with floor plastered with small stones, with one door, with a movable staircase, and solemnized with the presence of guardian deity. Above this chamber the treasury house closed on both sides with projecting roofs and extensively opening into the storehouse shall be built by bricks. He may employ outcast men, Abhityakta Purusha, to build at extreme boundary of the kingdom a palatious mansion to hold substantial treasure against danger and calamities. The trading house shall be quadrangle, enclosed by 4 buildings with one door, with pillars built of burnt bricks, with many compartments, and with a row of pillars on which both sides kept apart. The storehouse shall constituted many suspicious rooms and eclipses within itself, the storehouse and the forest produce separated from it by means of armory. The court, Dharmasthai, and the office of ministers, Mahamatriya, shall be built in a separate locality. All these buildings shall be provided with halls, sala, pits, khata privy, water well, bathroom, remedies against fire and poison, and cats, mongoose, and with necessary means to worship guardian gods to appropriate of each. In case of deception in James, both the deceiver and abettor shall be punished with the highest amercement. In the case of superior commodities, they shall be promoted middlemost amercement for the inferior values and less for the compelled restore. He shall receive only such gold coins as have been declared to be pure by the examiner of coins. Grains pure and fresh shall be received in full measures, otherwise a fine of twice the value of the grains shall be imposed. The same rule shall hold good with the receipt of merchandise, raw material, and weapons. If the officer who is in charge of treasury causes loss in money, he shall be whipped gatha, while his abettors shall receive half the punishment. If the loss is due to ignorance, he shall be censured. If with the intention of giving a hint, robber are frighted by guards, the latter shall be tortured to death. Hence, assisted by trustworthy persons, the chamberlain shall intend to the business of revenue collection. He shall have so thorough a knowledge of both external and internal incomes running even for the 100 years that when questioned, he can point out hesitation. The exact amount of net balance that remains after expenditure has been met with. End of chapter 5. The duty of Chamberlain, and starting of chapter 6. The business of collection of revenue by Collector General. The Collector General shall intend to the collection of revenue from forts, durga, country parts, rashtra, mines, khani, building and gardens, setu, forest, vana, herds of the cattle, vraja, and roads of traffic, vanik patha, tolls, fines, weights and measures, the town clerk, nagarka, and the superintendent of coinage, lakshanadhiksha, and the superintendent of seal and passports, liquor, slaughter of animal, thread, oil, ghee, sugar, the state goldsmith, Savarnika, the warehouse of merchandise, the prostitute, gambling, building sites, Vastuka, the corporation of artisans and handicraft men, Karusil Pigaha, the superintendent of God and taxes collected at the gate from the people known as Bahirikas, came under the head of foods. Produce from crown lands, Sita, proportion of produce payable to the government, Bhaga, religious taxes, Bali, taxes paid in money, Kara, merchants, the superintendents of rivers, ferries, boats and ships, towns, pasture, grounds and road says, and ropes to the bind of thighs, come under the head of country part. Gold, silver, gems, diamond, pearls, corals, conch shells, metals, salt, and other minerals extracted from plains and mountains slopes come under the head of mines. Flower garden, fruit gardens, vegetable gardens, wet fields, and fields where crops are grown by sowing roots for seed, mulavapaha, sugarcane crops, etc. come under Setu. Game forest, timber forest, and elephant forest are the forest. Cows, buffaloes, goats, sheep, asses, camels, horses, and mules come under the head of herds. Land and waterways are the roads of traffic. All these four form of the body of income. Aya Saririma, capital, Mulya, share, Bhag, Premia, Vyaj, Prigaha, find taxes, Kalprita, and Premia of coins, Rupika, fixed fines, Atyaya, are the several forms of revenue. Ayamukha, the mouth from which the income is to issue. The chanting of auspicious hymns during the worship of gods and ancestors of the occasion of gifts. The harem, the kitchen, the establishment of messenger, the storehouse, the armory, warehouse, raw material, manufactories, free laborers, maintenance of infantry, cavalry, snakes, and storage of firewood and fodder constitute the body of expenditure. The royal year, the month, the paksha, and the day, the dawn, Vyashuta, the third and the seventh paksha of the season, such as the rainy season, the winter, summer, short of their days, rest complete the separate intercalary month are the division of time. He shall also pay attention to work in hand, Karaniya, and the work accomplished, Siddham, part of the work in hand, Shesha, receipt, expenditure, and net balance. The business of upcoming the government, samasthanam, the routine work, pracharaha, the collection of necessities of life, the collection and audit of the all kinds of revenue. These constitute the work in hand, that which has been credited to the treasury, that which has been taken by the king, and that which has been spent in connection with this capital city, not entered into the register or continued from year before or last the royal command dictated or oral intimated to be the entered all the register. All this constitute the work accomplished. Preparation of plans for profitable works, balance of fines, due demand for arrear of revenue kept in abeyance, and examination of accounts. These constitute what is called put part of the work in hand, which may be little or no value. Receipt may be current, second last to balance, and third accidental antayajiha, received from external sources. What is received day after day is termed as current vartamana. In the whatever has been brought from forward from the year or last, whatever is in hands of others and whatever has changed hands is termed last balance, puryashuta. Whatever has been lost and forgotten by others, fines levied for the government servants, marginal revenue, persva, compensation levied for any damage, parihinika, presentation of king, the property those who have fallen victims to epidemics, leaving no sons and treasure troves. Also, these constitute accidental recipients. Investment of capital, vikshepa, of relics, the relics of the wicked undertaking, and the savings from an estimated outlay for the means to check expenditure. The rise in price of merchandise due to the use of different weights and measures in selling is termed vyaji. The enhancement of price due to bidding among buyers is also another source of point. Expenditure is of two kinds, daily expenditure and profitable expenditure. What is continued every day is daily, what is earned in the paksha, a month or a year is termed profit. Whatever is spent on these two heads are termed as daily expenditure and profitable expenditure respectively, the which remains deducting all the expenditure already incurred and including all revenue to be realized in net balance, nivi, which may have been either but realized or brought forward. Thus, a wise collector general shall conduct the work of revenue collection and increasing the income and decreasing the expenditure. End of chapter 6th, the business collection of revenue by the collector general, and starting of chapter 7th, the business of keeping up accounts in the office of accountants. The superintendent of accounts shall have the accountant office constructed with its door facing either to the north or to the east, with the seas clerks apart and with shelves of accounts books well arranged therein, the number of several departments and descriptions of the work carried on, and as the result realized in several factories, karmanta, the amount of profit, loss, expenditure, delayed earnings, the amount of vyaji, premia in the kind of cash realized, the state or the free laborers engaged vishti pertaining the investment of a capital of any work. Likewise, in the case of a germs and commodities of the superior and inferior value, the rate of their price, the rate of their barter, the counterweights, pratimana, used in weighing them, their number are weight and their crucible, cubical measure, the history of customs, professions and transactions of country, village, family and corporations, and gains in the form of gift as the king's courtier. Their title to possess and enjoy hands remissions of taxes allowed to them, and payment of provisions and salaries to them, the gain of wives and sons to the king in gems, land prerogatives and provisions made to remedy of kings and portents, the treaties with issue of ultimatum to pay and to payment of tribute from or to friendly or inimical kings. All these shall be regularly entered in prescribed register. From these books to intendant shall furnish the accounts as to the forms of work in hand, of works accomplished, of parts of works in hand, of receipt, of expenditure, of net balance, and of task to be undertaken in each of the several departments. To supervise work of high building and low description, superintendents with corresponding qualifications shall be employed. The king will have to suffer in the end if he curtails the fixed amount of expenditure on profitable works. When a man engaged by government for any work absents himself, his sureties who conjointly received wages from the government, or his sons, brothers, wives, daughters, or servants living upon his work shall bear the loss caused to the government. The work of 354 days and nights in the year, such a work shall be paid for more or less in a proportion of its quantity at the end of the month. Ashada, about the middle of the July, work during the intercalary month shall be separately calculated. The government officer, not caring to know the information gathered by Spongia and neglecting to supervise the dispatch of work in his own department as regulated, may occasion loss of revenue to the government owing to his ignorance, or owing to his idleness when he is too weak to endure the trouble of activity, or due to the advertence in perceiving sound and object sense, or by doing timid when he is afraid of clamor and righteousness and untoward result, or owing to selfish desire when he is favorably disposed towards those who are desirous to achieve their own selfish ends, and cruelty due to the anger or bad to the dignity of the surrounded host learned. The school of Manu hold that the fine equal for the losses of revenue and multiplied to the serial number of the circumstances of the guilt just narrated in order shall be imposed upon him. But Chanakya says that it shall be proportional to the guilt. Accounts shall be submitted in the month of Ashada, when the accountants of different districts present themselves with the sealed book, commodities, and net revenue. They shall all be kept apart, having heard from them to the total receipt, expenditure, and not revenue. The net amount shall be received by how much the superintendents of the department augments the next total of its revenue, either by increasing any one of the items of its receipt, or by decreasing any one of its item of expenditure. He shall be rewarded 8 times that amount. But when it is reversed, when the net total is decreased, the award shall be reversed. He shall made to pay 8 times the decrease. Those accountants who do not present themselves in times, or do not produce their account books along with the net revenue, shall be fined 10 times the amount due from them. When a superintendent of account Karanika does not at once proceed to receive and check the accounts when the clerks karmika are ready, he shall be punished with the first amazement. In the reverse of the when the clerks are not ready, the clerk shall be punished with the double of the first amazement. All the ministers, Mahamaraj, shall together narrate the whole of the actual accounts pertaining to each department. Whoever of these ministers or clerks is of undivided counsel, or keeping himself aloof, or utters falsehood, shall be punished with the higher amercement. When an accountant shall be not prepared to be the table of a daily accountants, he may be given the month more, and it's for its preparation. After the lapse of 1 month, he shall be fined at the rate of 200 panats for each month, during which he delays the accounts. If he accountant has to write only the small portion of the accounts pertaining the net revenue, he may be allowed 5 nights to prepare it. Then the table of the daily account submitted by him along with the net revenue shall be checked with reference to be regulated forms of righteous transaction and precedents, and by applying such arithmetical processes as addition, subtraction, inference, and spontaneity. It shall also be verified with reference to such divisions of time as days, 5 nights, pakshats, months, 4 months, and the year. The receipt shall be verified with reference to the place and time pertaining to them, the form of their collection, capital, share, the amount of the present and the past producer, the person who has paid it, the person who has caused its payment, the officer who has fixed amount payable, and the officer who received it. The expenditure shall be verified with reference to the cause of the profit from any source in place and the time pertaining to each item. The amount payable, the amount paid, the person who ordered the collection, the person who remitted the same, the person who delivered it, the person who finally received it. Likewise, the net revenue shall be verified with reference to the place, time, and source pertaining to it. Its standard of fineness, quantity, and the person who are employed to guard the deposits and magazines of the grains. When an officer Karnika does not facilitate or prevents the execution of the king's order or renders the receipt and expenditure otherwise than prescribed, he shall be punished with the first amercement. Any clerk who violates or deviates from the prescribed form of writing accounts, enters what is known unknown to him, or makes double or triple entries, punartukutnam, shall be fined 12 panas. He who scraps off the net total shall be double punished. He who eats it up shall be fined 8 times, and he who causes loss of revenue shall not only pay a fine equal to 5 times the amount lost panchabandha, but also make good the loss. In case of uttering a lie, the punishment levied for theft shall be imposed. When an entry lost or omitted is made later or is made to appear as forgotten but added later on recollection, the punishment shall be double the above. The king shall forgive the offensive when it is trifling, have satisfaction when even when the revenue of scanty and honor with rewards pragaraha, such as the superintendent as the are of the events of benefits to him. End of chapter 7th, the business of keeping up accounts of the office of accountants, and the starting of chapter 8, detection of what is embezzled government servants out of the state revenue. All undertaking depends upon finance. Hence, foremost attention shall be paid to the treasury. Public prosperity, prachar samriddhiha, rewards for good conduct, charitra na gruha, captures the thieves, dispensing the service to many government servants, abundance of harvest, prosperity of commons, and absence of troubles and calamities, upsarga moksha, diminution of remissions of taxes and income in gold, Sri Harayana, are all conducive of financial prosperity. Obstruction, pratibandha, loan, prayoga, trading, vyahara, fabrication of accounts, avastara, causing the loss of revenue, parihapna, self-enjoyment, upabhoga, barter, parivartana, defalcation, apahara, are the causes that tend the deplete of the treasury. The failure to start an undertaking or to realize its result or to credit its profit to the treasury is known to as obstruction. Herein, a fine of 10 times of amount in question shall be imposed. Lending the money of the treasury on periodical interest is a loan. Carrying on trade by making use of government money is trading. These two acts shall be punished with a fine of twice the profit earned. Whoever makes as unrip the rip time as a rip the unrip time, the revenue or collection, is guilty of fabrication. Herein, a 5 times of panchabandha or amount shall be imposed. Whoever lessens a fixed amount of income or enhances the expenditure is guilty of causing the loss of revenue. Herein, a fine of 4 times the loss shall be imposed. Whoever enjoys himself or causes others to enjoy whatever belongs to the king is guilty of self-employment. Enjoyment, herein death sentence shall be passed for enjoying gems. Middlemost amusement for enjoying valuable articles and restoration of the articles together with a fine equal to their value shall be punishment. For enjoying article of inferior value, the act of in exchanging different government articles for similar articles of others is barter. This is offensive. This offense is explained by self-enjoyment. Whoever does not take into the treasury the fixed amount of revenue collected and does not spend what is ordered to be spent and mispresent the net revenue collected in guilty of defalsification of government money, herein a fine of 12 times of amount shall be imposed. There are about 40 ways of embezzlement. What is realized earlier is entered later on. realized later on is entered later on. What has been taken into the treasury is removed, while what has been credited to the it has shown been. The month not in harmony with its dates, inconsistency in the transaction carried on, the impersonal supervision, mispresentation of the source of the income, inconsistency in giving charities, deception in counting articles, and making use of false cubic measures such as bhajan, etc. These are the several ways of the embezzlement. Under the above circumstances, the person concerned, such as treasury nidayaka, the prescriber nibandhaka, the receiver pratigrahaka, and the payer dhayaka, the person who caused the payment dwapaka, and ministerial servants of the officer mantri vyavaharikta, shall each be separately examined. If any one of these tells a lie, he shall receive the same punishment as a chief officer yukta who committed the offense. The proclamation in public prachara shall be made to the effect, whoever has suffered at hands of the offender may take their grievance known to the king. Those who respond to call shall receive such compensation as is equal to the loss they have sustained. When there are number of offences in each of the single officer is involved, and when his being guilty and prokta in any one of those charges has been established, he shall be answerable for all those offences. Otherwise, when it is not establishment, he shall be tried for each of the charges. When the government servant has been proved to be guilty of having misappropriated parts of the large sum of in question, he shall be answerable to for the whole world. Any informant Suchaka who supplies information about embezzlement just perpetration shall, if succeed in proving it, get as reward 1/6 of the amount of the question. If an informant succeed in proving only a part of a big embezzlement, he shall nevertheless get prescribed share of the part of the embezzlement amount paid. When the charge is proved, the informant may impute the tale-bearing to someone else or clear himself in any other way from the blame. Any informant who withdraws his assertion prevailed upon by the insinuations of the accused shall be condemned to death. End of chapter 8. Detection of what has been embezzled by government servants out of state revenue. And chapter 9. Examination of the conduct of government servants. Those who are possessed of ministerial qualification shall, in accordance with their individual capacity, be appointed as the superintendent of the government departments. While engaged in work, they shall be daily examined, for men are naturally fickle-minded and like horses at work be daily examined, for men who are work exhibit constant change in their temper. Hence the agency and the tools which they make use of, and the place and time of the work they are engaged in, as well as the precise form of the work of the outlay, the result shall always be ascertained. Without dissension and without any concert among themselves, they shall carry on their work as ordered. When in concert, they eat up the revenue. When in disunion, they mar the work without bringing to the knowledge of the masters, Bharti, the king. They shall undertake nothing except remedial measures against the imminent dangers. A fine of twice the amount of daily pay and the expenditure incurred by them shall be fixed for any inadvertence on their part. Whoever of the superintendent makes as much as or more than the amount of the fixed revenue shall be honored the promotion and rewarded. My teacher holds that the officer who spends too much and brings in little revenue eats it up, while he who proves the revenue and brings it more than he spends, as well as the officer who brings in as much as he spends, does not eat up the revenue. But Kautilya holds that case of embezzlement or the embezzlement can be ascertained through the spies alone. Whoever lessens the revenue eats the king's wealth. If owing into the adherents he cause diminution in revenue, he shall be compelled to make good the loss. Each department shall be officered by several temporary heads, just as it is impossible to test the honey or the poison that finds itself at the tip of the tongue. So it is impossible for a government to not to eat up at least a bit of a king's revenue, just as Fish moving underwater cannot possibly be found out either as drinking or not drinking water. So, government servant employed in the government work cannot be found out while taking money for themselves. It is possible to mark the movement of the birds flying high up in the sky, but not so possible to ascertain the movement of the government servants of hidden purpose. Government servants shall not only be confiscated of their ill-earned hoarders, but also be transferred from one work to another, so that they cannot either misappropriate government money or vomit what they have eaten up. Those who increase the king's revenue instead of eating it up are loyally devoted to him shall be made permanent in service. Thus, end of chapter 9. Examination of a conduct of government servants. Starting of chapter 10, procedure of forming royal writs. The teacher says that the word sasana, command, is applicable only to the royal writs. Sasana. Writs are the great importance of the kings in as much as treaties and ultimate leading to war depends upon writs. Hence, one who is possessed of ministerial qualifications, acquainted with all kinds of customs, smart in composition, good in legible writing, and sharp in reading shall be appointed as a writer, lekhaka. Such a writer, having attentively listened to the king's order and having well thought out of the right matter under consideration, shall reduce the order of writing. As to the writ addressed by a Lord Ishvara, it shall contain a polite mention of his country and his possessions, his family and his name. And as to that addressed to a common Anniversara, it shall make a polite mention of his country and name, having paid sufficient attention to the caste, family, social rank, age, learning, occupation, property, character, blood relation of the addresses, as well as the place and time of writing. The writer shall form a writ befitting the position of the less person addressed to. Agreement of a subject matter, artha karma, relevancy, sambandha, completeness, sweetness, dignity, and lucidity are necessary qualities of a writ. The act of mentioning facts in order to their importance is agreement. When subsequent facts are not contradictory to the facts just or previously mentioned, and so on, till the completion of the letter, it is termed relevancy. Avoidance of redundancy and deficiency of words or letters, impressive description of subjects, matter by citing reasons, examples, and illustration, and the use of appropriate, suitable, strong words as asarantapada is completeness. The description of inadequate style of good purport with a pleasing effect in sweetness. The use of words other than colloquial agramya is dignity. The use of well-known words is lucidity. The alphabetical letters beginning with akara are 63. The combination of letters is a word pada. The word is of four kinds: nouns, verbs, prefixes of verbs, and particles. The noun is that which signifies an essence, sattva. A verb is which has no definite gender and signifies an action, pra, and other words, prefix of verbs, cha. The other indiscernible words of particles. A group of words conveying a complete sense is a sentence. Commendation, culmination, and culation are the words which are answered as the commendable commands and usually the appreciative words. To hold our help in trouble in a promise of help is abhay vattipaha. Pointing out the evil consequence that may occur in the future is threat, the abhibharatsanam. Persuasion is all three kinds: that made the purpose of money, that made in case of one's failure to fulfill the promise, that made on the occasion of any trouble. Also, writer of information of command and of gift likewise writes the emissions and remissions of license, guidance, of reply, of general proclamation are other varieties. Thus, who says the messenger, so says the king. If there is any truth in this statement of messenger, then the thing agreed to should be once be surrendered. The messenger has informed the king of all deeds of the enemy, prakara. This is the writer of information which is held by the various forms. When the family negotiation has 5 kinds, praising the qualitatives at any are narrating the mutational relationship, pointing out mutual benefits, and showing vast future prospect and identity of interest. When the family, person, occupation, conduct, learning, properties, etc. of an enemy are commended with due attention to their worth, it is termed praising the qualities. Ganu Sit Kirtana. When the fact that having agnates blood relation, teacher, mukhya, and priestly hierarchy, family and friends in common is pointed out, it is narration of a mutual friendship. The both parties, the party of a king and that of his enemy, are shown to the help of the each other. It is known as the pointing out mutual benefit. Inducement such as this being done thus, such result will occur of both of us is shown vast future prospect. To say what I am, that thou art, thou mayest utilize in this work whatever is mine, is identity of interest. Offering money is bribery. Causing fears and suspicion as well as threatening is known as showing dissension. Killing, harassing and plundering is attack. Culmination, contradiction and repetition, bad grammar and misarrangement is the fault of writer. Wrong use of words is a gender, number and time and case in a bad grammar which is apsabda. Thus, the end of chapter 10, the procedure of forming royal writers. Chapter 11, examination of gems that are to be entered into the treasury. The superintendent of the treasury shall, in the presence of qualified person, admit into the treasury whatever he owes to gems, ratna, and articles of the superior or inferior value. Tamraparnika is that which is produced. Tamraparni. Pandya Kavataka, that which is obtained. Pandya Karvata. Pisikalya, which is produced Pasa. Kautilya, which is produced as Kula. Chorniya, which is produced Churna. Mahendra, which is obtained from mountains, which is Mahendra. Karmadikama, which is Karmada, and Saurashtriya, Sorostiti. Oyster shells, conch shells, and miscellaneous things are the worms of pearls. 1008 strings of pearls from the necklace Indrachanda, and half of the above is Vijaya Chanda. 64 strings make up Andharaha. 54 strings make up Rasmikalpa. 32 strings make up Gucha. 27 strings make up Nakshatramala. 24 strings make up Andragucha. 20 strings make up Manavaka. Above, half of the above is Ardhamanavaka. The same necklace with the gem at the center are called as the same names of the word Manavaka, suffixed to those respective names. A string made of pearls and gold globules, alternative put, is called Aparvataka, and string of pearls with a gold wire between those two strings is called Sopanaka. Kauta, that which is obtained from Kauta, and Maulika, that which is found in Moliya, and Kusum Parasa Mudraka, that which is beyond the ocean, are several varieties of gems. That which is characterized with blue lines, that which is the blue color of the flower is Kalya, and faint color, sandy layer, spots, holes, bad perforations, snatches are the defects of gems. Rest are metallic beads, kachmani, subhrashtraka, mines, streams and other miscellaneous places are their sources. The color of the diamond may be like the cat eyes, that of the flower of Sirisha. That which is big, heavy, hard, prashanna, tolerant of heating, regular, samokhona, capable of snatching on the surface of the vessels, bhajane lekhi, reflection of light, kubrami, brilliant is a best. And that which is devoid of angles, uneven, niraskranam, and bent on the side, parasvaritam, is inauspicious. Satana is red and smells like the earth. Light, soft, moist, sayana, not dry, as grassy as ghee, of pleasant smell and adhesive skin, of the mild smell and retentive of color and smell, tolerant of heat, absorptive of heat, comfortable to the skin. These are the characteristics of sandal, which is chandana. The above fragment and smells the different types and which has different kind of gems which smells different. Blankets made from the sheep's wool may be white, purely red, and red as lotus flowers. Woolen blanket are Kambala, Kochupaka, Kulutumika, Varnaka. Samputika, Chostrika, Lambara, and Karvataka and Prakartaka are stylic of the wool made from the animals. That which is manufactured in the country Vanga, Panda manufacture Pandruka, Somya manufacturing Sornakundia. Single half of the double quadruple gentleman garments are varieties of the same. Of these, that which is produced in the country of Sarvanukya is the best. The above will explain the fabrics known as Kauseya, silk cloth and Chinapatta. Of cotton fabrics, those Madhura, of Aparanta, western parts of Kalinga, of Kasi, Vanga, Vatsa and Mahisha are the best. As to other kinds of gems which are not treated are of here, the superintendent shall ascertain their size, their value, species, form, utility, their treatment, the repair of old ones, any adulteration that is not easily detected, their wear and tear due to lapse of time and place, as well as remedies against those which are unauspicious. Himsara. Chapter 11 Examination of gems is ended, and Chapter 12 starting. Conducting mining operations and manufacture. Possessed of knowledge of the science dealing with copper and other minerals, Arthashastra. Experienced in the art of distillation and condensation of a mercury reciproca, and of testing gems aided by expert in mineralogy, equipped with mining laborers and necessary instrument, the superintendent of mines shall examine mines which on account of containing minerals, exertment kita, charcoal and ashes may appear to have been exploited, or which may be newly discovered on plains and mountain slopes possessing mineral ores, the richness of which can be ascertained by weight, depth of color and piercing and smell and state. Liquid which owes out the pits, caves, slopes and deep excavations of well-known mountains which have the color of a fruit of rose apple, of mango and fan palm, which are as yellow as red turmeric, and sulfuric of arsenic, honeycomb and vermilion, which are the repellent of the petals of lotus and the feather of the parrot of or a peacock. Of similar appearance as above, tattva prati rupakam, but of piercing smell and taste is bitumen. Those ores which are obtained from plains and slopes of mountains, which are either yellow or as red as copper or reddish yellow, which are disjoined and marked with blue lines, which have the color of black beans, masha, pharyllis, radios, green beans, mudga, facilis mongo, and sesama. And those ores which have the color of council, camphor, and alum, butter, valmika, is called as the vimalaka. The impurities of ores, gathered superficial and insufferable, combined with them, can be get rid of the metal melted when the ores are treated with the takshana, urine, mutra or akalis, shara, are mixed with the smeared and mixtures, powder of clitor tertana, vata, ficus indica and pelu. Metals are rendered softened when they are treated with the powder of kandali mushroom. Permanent softness is also attained when the metal is treated with the powder of cow's teeth and horn. Those ores which have color of kaka meshaka, salonium indica, pigeon and cow's bill, which are marked with white lines and smell like raw meat, are the ore of leads. A mine laborer who steals minerals products except precious stones shall be punished with the fine of 8 times their value. Any person who steals mineral products or carries on mining operations without license shall be bound with chains and caused to work as a prisoner. The superintendent of mint shall carry on manufacture of silver coins made from the 4 parts of the copper and 1/16 of the part from the any metal like trapu, sisa, anjana. There shall be panna, half of a panna, a quarter and a 1/8. Copper coins made from the 4 parts of the alloy, which is nashaka, half of a nashaka, Kokani and half of a Kokani. The superintendent of ocean mines shall attend the collection of the conch shells, diamonds, precious stones, pearls, corals, salt, and also regulate the commerce in the above commodities. Soon after crystallization of salt is over, the superintendent of salt shall in time collect both the money rent, prakriya, and quantity of the shares salt due to the government, and by the sale of the salt collected as shares, he shall realize not only its value, mulya, but also premium of 5% vyazam, both in cash rupa. Imported salt shall pay 1/6 portion to the king, the sale of this proportion shall fetch the premium of the 5% vyaji, the 8% rupika in a cash of rupa. The purchasers shall pay not only the toll sulka but also the compensation vaidharanaga, equivalent to loss of the entrained king's commerce. In default of the above payment, he shall be compelled to pay a fine of 600 pannas. Adulteration of salt shall be punished with the highest amercement. Likewise, persons other than hermits vanaprastha manufacturing salt without license, men learned in Vedas, persons engaged in penance as well as laboral may take with them salt for food. Salt and alkalis for purposes other than this shall be subject to the payment of oils. Thus, beside collecting from mines the 10 kind of revenues, the value of output, the share of the output, the premium of 5%, the testing charge of coins, fine previously announced, toil and toll coinage, the premium of 8%, the government shall keep the state monopoly both mining and commerce. Thus, taxes on all commodities intended for sale shall be prescribed once for all. Thus, the end of chapter 12, conducting mining, and starting of the chapter 13, superintendent of gold in the goldsmith office. In order to manufacture gold and silver jewelry, each being kept apart, the superintendent of gold shall have a goldsmith office, Akshala, consisting of 4 rooms and 1 door. In the center of the high road, a trained, skillful goldsmith of high birth and reliable character shall be appointed to hold his shop. Jammu Bandha and that which is product of the river Jumbha, Saktubumba, and which are the extracted of the mountain of Satakakumba are the which connected from the to which is extracted from the Singuta are the varieties of gold. Gold may be obtained either pure and amalgamated with mercury and silver or alloyed with other impurities. Impure gold is whitish color. It shall be fused with lead 4 times of the quantity of impurity. Mine gold which is brittle owing to its contamination with lead shall be heated, wound round with cloth and hammered the wooden anvil. Tuthod gata, what which is extracted from the mountain, Tuthoguddika, that which is product of the country known as Gouda. Silver which is white, glossy and ductile is the best, that which is the reverse of the quality is bad. When the streak of the pure gold made on touchstone is the color of the turmeric, it is termed as swarna. Having first made a strike on the swarna on a touchstone, then by side streak, a streak with a piece of a gold to be compared with it and shall be made. Whenever a uniform streak made on a even surface of the touchstone can be wiped off and swept off, or even strike is due to the sprinkling of any glittering powder by the nail of such touchstone, then an attempt for deception can be inferred. That gold which when heated keeps the same color and in a glittering tender spores color and flower of the kartanda is the best. No person who is not an employee shall enter the goldsmith's office. Any person who so enters shall be headed. Goldsmiths who are engaged to prepare various kinds of ornament such as kanchana, prishita, tvashitra, tapaniya are those owner getting from the articles prepared. For setting jewels in gold, 5 parts of kachana, pure gold, and 10 parts of the gold alloyed with 4 parts of the copper and silver shall be required quantity, mana. Here, the pure gold shall be preserved from the impure gold. Silver articles, either solid or hollow, silver may be mixed with half of amount of gold, and by making use of the powder or solution of the vermilion, gold equal to 1/4 of the amount of the silver and the ornament may be painted on it. The coloring ingredient of gold is 1 kakani of tikshani, which is of the color of a neck of peacock, tinged with white, and which is dazzling of the pole copper. When 3 parts of tapaniya pure gold are melted with 32 parts of sveta tara, it is compounded become reddish white. The 3 parts of tapayana are combined with the 32 parts of copper. The compound becomes yellow. When tapsina is twice drenched in the solution mixed with mercury, it acquires the color of the feather of the parrot. Uniform is color equal in the color of the test streak of the standard gold, devoid to the hollow bulbs ductile, very smooth, free from alloys, pleasing when worn as an ornament, not dazzling through the gassion, and the sweetest of the allowable in its uniformity of mass and pleasing the mind of eyes. These are the qualities of Tapaniya, pure gold. Thus, end of chapter 13, the superintendent of gold in the goldsmith's office, and the starting of chapter 14, the duties of state goldsmith in the high road. The state goldsmith shall employ the artisan to manufacture gold and silver coins, rupasvarna, from the billion of citizens and country people. The artisan employed in the office shall do their work as ordered in the time, and when under the excuse that time and nature of the work has been prescribed, they spoil the work, they shall not only forfeit their wages but also pay the fine of the twice the amount of their wages. When they postpone work, they shall forfeit one-fourth the amount of their wages and pay the fine of twice the amount of forfeited wages. The goldsmith of the mint shall return to the owner's coin of the ornament and the same weight and the same quality varna as the bullion nikshepa which they received at the mint, with the exception of those coins which have been worn out and which have undergone diminution. They shall receive the same coins back into the mint, even after the lapse of the numbers of years. The state goldsmith shall gather from the artisan employed in the mine to information, discernations, and concerning pure gold, metallic mass, and coins, rate of exchange. In getting Swarna coins and manufactured from gold or from silver, 1 kakani weight of metal more shall be given to the mint towards the loss of in the manufacture. The coloring ingredient shall be 2 kakanis of tikshana, copper sulfate, 1/6 of which will be lost during the manufacture. When the quality of a coin less than the standard of masha is lowered, the artisan concerned shall be punished with the first amercement. When its weight is less than the standard of weight, they shall be punished with the middlemost amercement. Deception in balance or weights shall be punished with the highest amercement. Deception in the exchange of manufactured coins shall also be punished with the highest amercement. Whoever causes gold or silver articles to be manufactured in any place other than the mint or without being noticed by the state goldsmith shall be fined 12 panas, while the artisan who does not work shall, if found out, be punished with twice above the fine. If he is not found out, measures such as described in book 4th shall be taken to detect him. When thus detected, he shall be fined 200 panas or shall have his fingers cut off. Weighing, balance, and counterweights shall be purchased from the superintendents in charge of them. Otherwise, a fine of 12 panas shall be imposed. Compact work, ghana, compact and hollow work, ghana shuriya, soldiering, amalgamation, enclosing, and gilding are the various kinds of artisan work. False balances, removal, dropping, folding, and confounding are the several means employed by the goldsmith of the decisive public. False balance are that are bending arms, that of a helm and pivot, and a broken head, that which is crooked and shaking, that which is combined with the magnet, when by what is called as tipaktaka, triputaka, which consists of the 2 parts of the silver and the 1 part of the copper, an equal proportion of the pure alluvial gold is placed. That deceitful act is termed copper removal, and when by copper an equal proportion of gold is replaced, the act is termed removal copper. When in velen equal proportion of gold is placed, it is termed valakka removal, and when pure alluvial gold is replaced by that gold, half of which is mixed with copper, is termed gold removal. A crucible with base, a metallic piece hidden in it, metallic exertment, pincere, a pair of tongs, metallic pieces, and boraks. These are the several things which are made use of goldsmith by stealing gold. When intentionally causing the crucible to burst, the few sand-like particles of the metal are picked up along with other particles of a base metal or previously put therein. The whole is worth into a mass for the intended coin and or the ornament. This act is termed dropping, or when examining the fold of unlaid leaves of the ornament and deception is perpetuated and substituting silver for gold. And when particles or a base metal are substituted for those who gold is termed dropping. Likewise, folding either firm or loose is practiced in soldering, in preparing amalgams, and in enclosing base metals with two pieces of a superior metal. When a lead piece is firmly covered over the half gold leaf by means of wax, that act is termed as firm folding. When the same is loosely folded, it is termed loose foldings. The in amalgams in a single or double layer is made of a cover of piece. Copper or silver may be also placed between two leaves of a superior metal. The copper piece may be covered with a gold leaf and the surface of the edges being smoothened. Similarly, a piece of any base metal may be covered over the double of leaf of copper or silver, the surface and the edges being smoothened. The two forms of foldings may be detected by heating, by testing on touchstone, nikasha, or by observing absence of sound when it is rubbed. They find out loose foldings of the acid juice of the badramala and or in the salt water. As for the foldings in the compact of hollow piece, small particles gold like mud or bit of vermilion are heated to so make that film firmly adhere to the piece inside. Even in a compact price, the wax like mud of Gandhara mixed with the particle of gold like sand is so heated by the other to the pieces. These two kinds of impurities are got rid by the hammering the pieces, and which these two kinds are impurities. In an ornament or in coin, salt mixed with hard sand is so heated in flame as to make it firmly adhere to this. This can be got rid of boiling it. In some pieces, mica may be firmly fixed inside the wax and covered over with a double of leaf of gold and silver. When such a piece of mica or glass inside is suspended with water and duke, one of its sides dips more than the other, and when pierced by a pin, the pin goes very easily in a layer of a mica in an interior. Spurious stones and counterfeits gold and silvers may be substituted for the real ones in impact and hollow pieces. They are detected by hammering the pieces when the red hot. So much for confounding. Hence shall have the thorough knowledge of the pieces, spices, characteristics, color, weight, and formation of diamonds, precious stones, pearls, coral, and coins. There are four ways of deception perpetuated when examining new pieces or preparing old ones. They are hammering, cutting, snatching, and rubbing. When under the excuse of detecting the deception known as folding in hollow pieces of the thread or in cups made of gold or silver, the articles in question are hammered. That act is termed hammering. When a lead piece covered over with a gold or silver leaf is substituted for a real and interior is cut off, it is termed cutting. When compact pieces are scratched by tikshana, copper sulfate, that act is termed snatching, scratching. When by a piece of a cloth painted with a powder of sulfate of arsenic, red arsenic, and vermilion, or with powder of kuruvinda, gold or silver articles are rubbed, that act is termed rubbing. By these acts, gold and silver articles undergo dominion, but no other kind of injury is done to them. In all these pieces which are hammered, cut, scratched, or rubbed, the loss can be inferred by comparing them with the interact pieces of similar. The description, in amalgamated pieces, avalepya, which are cut off, the loss can be ascertained by cutting off an equal portion of similar pieces. Those pieces, our appearance of which has changed, shall be often heated and drenched in water. The state goldsman shall infer deception when the artisan preparing articles pays undue to attention to throwing away counterweight, fire and anvil, gandhika, working instrument, bhandika, the seat and the assailing balance, folds to the dress, his head, his thigh, flies, eagerness to look at his body on, and water spot and fire pot. Regarding silver, bad smell like that rotten meat and hardness due to any alloy projection, the bad color may be considered as indicating adulteration. As articles go of gold, these articles of gold and silver, new or old, or of bad or unusual color, are to be examined and adequate fines are described above shall be imposed. Thus, end of chapter 14, the duties of state's goldsmith in the high road. The next video will come where we will see this part of the book Arthashastra and the 15th lesson or the 15th chapter of this book, which is superintendent of storehouse. So